Thinking about leasing solar panels because you heard they'll boost your home's value? Yeah, not so fast. Now, this is one of those real estate myths that just refuses to die. But I'd like to walk you through the truth about leased solar panels and why they can actually hurt your home's resale instead of help it. Now, don't get me wrong, I love solar. It's great for the environment, and when it's done right, it can absolutely be a smart investment. But here's the catch. If you don't actually own your system, the value just isn't there. So let's break it down. When you own your solar system, either because you paid cash or used a solar loan, you actually own a tangible asset that's attached to the house, and that's something an appraiser can factor into the value. Some studies show owned solar systems can increase your home's value by 4 to 6% or even more. And that's pretty great, right? But leasing, that's a whole different story. When you lease solar or sign what's called a PPA, you don't own the panels, you're just renting them. And because of that, appraisers usually don't count them as part of your property's value. In fact, they may not factor them in at all. And if they do, it's often as a liability, not as an asset. So why do buyers get so nervous about leased systems? There are a few big reasons, and honestly, I've seen many of these play out many times. And the first one is the lease has to be transferred to the buyer, and that means the buyer has to qualify for the lease. They need to do a credit check, the paperwork, and there's sometimes a transfer fee. And not every buyer is super stoked about that. And second, these leases are long-term contracts. We're talking 15 to 25 years, and most of them include escalation clauses, so the payment actually goes up every year. And the buyer is thinking, wait, I don't even own this thing and I can't renegotiate it and I have to pay more every year for it? So you can see how that becomes a deal breaker. Now, let me share something I've experienced personally more than once. Over the years, I've represented both buyers and sellers on homes with leased panels, and every single time it's a hurdle. The buyers are never thrilled. They always get really uneasy about taking on someone else's long-term contract, and the buyout cost is always a crazy number. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars, and it just doesn't make financial sense. Now, I've had buyers who were genuinely excited about a house. It had a great layout, great location, but once they saw the solar lease, that was it. They walked. I've even shown homes to buyers who liked everything about the property until the lease came up. It was the deciding factor that made them pass. So if you're selling a home with a leased solar system, you have to be ready for this, as it will be an issue. So let's keep going. Lenders often count the lease payment in the buyer's debt to income ratio, which can impact their loan approval. And in some cases, especially with older lease agreements, the system doesn't even qualify as a home improvement in the appraisal. And finally, the deal itself can fall apart, and here's what that often looks like. Say the seller has 15 years left on a lease, and the buyer's excited, offer comes in. Then the solar paperwork gets reviewed. The buyer finds out they have to qualify for the lease, and then there's a transfer fee, and the solar system company has to approve it. And the payment goes up every year. So that buyer is no longer super excited about the house or this new lease, and they back out. And now the seller is stuck with two bad options: either buy out the lease, which might cost a fortune, or remove the panels entirely. Meanwhile, the deal dies and the home goes back on the market. So what should you do if you have a leased solar system and you're thinking about selling your home? Here's my advice. Number one, start early. Call the solar company, get all the documentation, find out exactly what the transfer process is going to look like. And number two, know your buyout number. Can you afford to buy out the lease before selling? Would that help avoid buyer pushback? And number three, work with your agent to insert protective language in the contract, like making the sale contingent on a successful lease transfer. Number four, be transparent. Get everything out in the open up front. Buyers will appreciate it, and it might save your deal. And finally, if you're just thinking about leasing solar right now and your short to medium term plan is to sell the home, you definitely might want to rethink the lease route. My name is Kip Barnard, and I've been a licensed broker for over 20 years here in Silicon Valley. Besides being a top producer, I've sat on the ethics committee here for over 10 years, and I've also managed and grown an office for the #1 brokerage in the country, overseeing billions of dollars in sales. Now, my goal in making making these videos is to share what I've learned and help you protect your #1 asset. If you've got a solar system, whether it's leased or owned, and you're planning to sell, reach out. I'll take a look at your situation and come up with the best strategy to move you forward. And don't forget, you can grab my free seller PDF. It's packed with tips to help you avoid the common mistakes and walk away with the most money possible from the sale of your home. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hey guys, for more content similar to this, smash that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.